Mr. S. Ravi Kumar is President Business Development and Assurance at Bajaj Auto. He's joining us right now. Mr. Ravi Kumar, good morning. Prashant here. Your top line sales numbers have come in better.
Hi, morning, Prashant.
So let's just start with the top line sales. It's being attributed to a better product mix. Can you detail that out for us? What exactly is this better product mix?
Basically it is to do with a very good number of three-wheelers, about 156,000 units sitting there in that total. And of course, Pulsars and Avengers and KTMs are continuing to do well on the motorcycle space. And exports with the realization of a good level between the rupee and the dollar, that is holding out very nicely, and exports have done extremely well this year. This quarter, this is the highest ever exports, 519,000 units in the quarter, and of course, this is the mix that has contributed to the highest ever quarterly sales turnover that the company has reported.
Right. And hence margins have improved. At the net level, though, the recurring number, if I exclude all the one-times, etc., there has been no growth. And I think it was the same the last quarter, it was the same the quarter before. So 3 quarters in a row, at the net level, there has been absolutely no growth.
See, we have to look at the EBITDA percentage numbers because of the very high export. We export almost about $425 million per quarter. So sometimes, and we always are hedged into the future. So there's an element of this MTM which plays in the numbers, but the MTMs are always going to reverse in the future, so we are not too much bothered about that. So if we look at the EBITDA number, quarter on quarter, we have almost reported about a 1.5% type of better profitability this quarter, and we are quite happy about that in spite of the general trend in the market, in spite of all the pressures of higher advertisements and things like that. We have been able to improve the bottom line and profitability by a hefty 1.5% this quarter. That's a good sign, and again aided here by the mix, aided here by the export realization, and that's the story. 20.8% EBITDA before MTM, and
got that. I just want to
improvement in the
yes. I just want to ask you. No, I'm excluding everything else. Everything. I mean the CSR and all of that, litigation and everything. So recurring net profit, actually there has been no growth. But anyway, let's just talk about. So there has been exports, right, where realizations are higher. Three-wheeler sales have also picked up as permits in some new states, etc., opened. I just want to focus on on exports, right? We are hearing now that Hero is becoming. We recently actually had the management on air, Hero, and they are now very, very focused on the export market in a big way. Do you think the margins that you enjoy in the export market will come under pressure? Things will get very competitive there?
It depends upon the price positioning of our products, and we have been embedded in quite a number of these markets for many years now. So I think our profitability and our pricing capability in these markets is pretty much intact, and at least in the near term I don't see any big impact done to this, because we have been facing all sorts of competition in the markets abroad, and we've been holding our own. Boxers have done a great job in Africa, and all products have done in South Asia, and Pulsars have done a great job in Latin American region and things like that. In most of the countries, we are number 1 or number 2 in the respective segments, and it is, I should say, with a bit tongue-in-cheek, that it's a bit difficult for the new players. It will take some time.
It will take some time, but I guess competitors will persist because of the size of the market and the attractiveness of the market, right? So eventually, the point I was coming to is the margins that you've seen.
More competition is always.
Yes, the margins that you've seen, can we say that 20.5% they will be? We've seen the peak, we've seen the best margins.
We would say that we've always been saying that we talk generally about the relative margins, and we always say almost about if the industry is at X, we are comfortably at 1.5, 1.6x of the industry. We are always returning the industry best margins. I think we have the potential within ourselves to continue with that type of a relative better margin scenario as compared to industry. And if there is something to be played out on the pricing front, everybody is capable of, but normally nobody plays that. Everybody wants a good margin. And given any scenario, I think we'll be able to return a relative better margin, 1.6, near thereabouts of the industry margin.
Mr. Ravikumar, just hold on. I just want to sort of show some pictures of, the government. Mr. Modi, there you can see shots, the portal being launched, the website being launched, as far as those labor reforms are concerned. So, we'll cut across to when Prime Minister Modi actually speaks in just a bit. But that's the launch program in Delhi, which is happening live right now. So we're showing you pictures live at this stage. We'll just go back to that in a bit. Mr. Ravikumar, so you're saying that margins, you look at it relatively, what the industry is doing, what you're able to do, that's fine. We spoke about exports. You said that competitors will take time to make a mark in markets that you've been present for a long time. I just want to get a sense on three-wheelers, right? The share of three-wheeler sales is now what, 15%? It's up significantly.
In terms of lakh and 56,000 units on.
Yes. No. So the point is, do you think the pace at which you'll be able to grow three-wheeler sales from here will come down? Because we've seen permits opening up in many states. So we saw a big spurt at least we've seen a big spurt in the first half of this fiscal year. You think that pace will slacken from here?
Yeah, like you have mentioned, today three-wheelers roughly half is exported, half is sold domestically, and I should say that the upgraded three-wheelers in almost all the full range has worked out very neatly for us, very nicely for us. Most of the export markets have got a huge potential, so that potential or market growth in those export markets is quite intact. Egypt, Nigeria, LATAM, etc., etc. And as far as domestic is concerned, like you alluded, certainly it's a question of a big chunk is coming from the permits, and it is something which is outside of our hands. But we can talk about it in the near-term basis only. But I think Q3 is quite okay. Q4 should be quite okay. Beyond that, we don't have clear visibility. We have to play it by the year.
Okay. Sir, just one specific model which I think when we spoke with Mr. Bajaj last, he was very bullish on, the Discover 150, right? I mean, that's one segment or one category which has been doing very poorly for you. Can you tell us how many units you sold? Obviously, the full impact will be seen in the third quarter. But how many units what's the run rate, rather? And what are you seeing there?
You see, today... Yeah, you see, in the month of September alone, we have sold something like 28,300 units. And in 2 months, that is August and September, more than 50,000 units have been retailed. And within this 50,000, almost 70% is top-end Discover, which is priced at about 59,000 rupees. And This is exactly what script we have rewritten for the Discover. It has to embellish itself as a differentiated top-end commuter. The 150cc F and S is doing its job perfect to the script, and we expect that the current run rate is still not hit the peak. It should go up further. I think in the next in this month itself it should be 30 plus 30 31 in terms of retail, and it should go up further. And once the more number of Discovers are seen on the roads, that will again we'll see a second bout of increase. And based on this 150 performance, we have to see how the Discover pans out in future. Like certainly in the last few quarters, domestic and Discover has been the problem area. We have certainly talked about it in the past. We have said that there have been some mistakes, strategic mistakes, and we are correcting. And I should certainly report that the correction is playing out to the script. And going forwards, it should, I think in Q3 we will see much better growth numbers in domestic motorcycles, and in Q4 it should be even better.
Okay, got that. So the story from Bajaj is margins may be, for you at least in absolute sense, the best may be behind, and the bet obviously is the export market, which is now almost 50% of your overall volumes. It has increased quarter after quarter. And that's true for bikes, for three-wheelers as well. One last question, Mr. Ravi Kumar, before I let you go. You're saying, I referred to Mr. Modi and the government launching the portal for labor reforms in Delhi. You've had some labor trouble over the years. Chakan, for example, was the last. Can you tell us, when we talk about labor market reforms, and there are a lot of things which get bunched up there, what would you like to see specifically, sir? Point by point, if you can outline some of the most important things that you'd like to see changed in the current labor laws.
See, the widest thing is to say complete freedom for the managements and the unions and the labor to practice a free, fair and firm policy, and anything that is disrupting and taking away from productivity and production is certainly not good for industry, certainly not good for the labor themselves, because more we produce and more we earn, more we can distribute, and everybody can be happy. All stakeholders, including workmen and labor, can be very, very happy. I think that should be the positive direction. But I'm no expert on the small intricacies of the labor rules and regulations, and where all debottlenecking is required. I think this government is talking a lot of sense, and if they do it right, it'll be fantastic. But that said, now that you have touched on the government, I would certainly like to talk a bit about this one-time hit that has hit us in terms of excise. Here again, it's a 10-year exemption that is given to us, and for us to have a clarification or a clear position on an item, 7.5 years has passed. So this system in which we operate, that should change, and if clarity is there, we are all law-abiding citizens. We don't want to run to courts and waste our time. We want to do production and be productive. And I think if in all these matters, if there can be fast tracking, if there can be quicker dispensation of clarity, that's what we would like to seek.
Okay, got that, sir. Thanks very much, Mr. Ravi Kumar. Thanks for joining us.